Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 29th of November for the Sun or the Ascendant. Now what I'm going to do is give you a broad overview of the major strands that are going to be influencing us all. And then please stay with me, I'll dive deep to give you in forensic detail your zodiac sign forecast. This week begins with a momentous astrological moment. The Sun and Mercury are so tightly together as we see it from Earth that they are in cazimi. This is going to see the power of the Sun magnify the influence of Mercury. Mercury technically is in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius where this event occurs, but I actually really quite like Mercury in Sagittarius. I think it's very thirsty for knowledge, it loves travel, it can be very adventurous, and the Sun and Mercury coming together suggests that we are going to have a greater desire to inform ourselves, but inform ourselves with higher ideals, the bigger picture, philosophy, history, any kind of background research, whether it's into the family tree or a business plan, can really benefit from this combination. Also very good for contractual discussions as well. Now we know that the world environment is challenged severely by COVID. If COVID wasn't there, I think a lot of us would want to inject our existence with some kind of spontaneity and adventurism. But we can still use our minds to achieve that. And Mars in the sign of Scorpio, which it governs, is forging a very compassionate link to Neptune. Now this suggests that we can dive deep in our thinking and the things that we explore, the knowledge that we gain in a very productive way. But also this week, the Sun is going to go on to forge a very stable link with Saturn. Now of course Saturn gets a bad astrological press, but it's very much to do with boundaries, stability, the structures that we're trying to build up that are positive. Of course sometimes Saturn will limit us around the things that aren't working so well. But this is a lovely angle because the Sun in Sagittarius is very much about freedom, and Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, also about freedom, is the ruler of that sign, the co-ruler. So where we're progressive and we're growing our situation and being more pioneering, but we're doing it in a step-by-step, thorough, well-researched way, Saturn supports the Sun in a very constructive manner. Now that brings us to that incredibly powerful total solar eclipse which occurs on Saturday. If you want to watch my deep dive video into this, please see beneath this video. Now this event is broadly going to still be in a sextile with Saturn, but it's also going to forge a quincunx with Uranus. So I think one of the things that we must embrace over the next 6 months, the range of influence of this final Sagittarius Gemini polarity eclipse in the series, before we go more into the Taurus Scorpio season of next year, and we've already had the Taurus lunar eclipse, the first phase of that. I think what we've got to just bear in mind is that the position of the Sun in the 9th house is about going for it. Uranus in the 2nd house is about more being conscious of our resources. So because they're not quite aligning very well, one of the things that we're going to need to work hard on, all of us, over the next half year is using our resources in a more constructive, practical way and not spending money just for the pleasure of it alone. So we're going to be looking to invest in things that have some kind of ongoing practical credential rather than living in the moment quite so much. So I think all of this is asking us to become much more mindful of our resources. But please stay with me for your in-depth forecast. But if you are new to my channel, I would be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily horoscope, written horoscope, fired to your device each morning, please see the link beneath this video. And if you'd like to get your personal forecast for next year, you can do so now and get the rest of this year free, plus a character analysis plus 30% off. Also, please see the link below. Hello Aries, and welcome to your in-depth forecast for week commencing the 29th of November. Your ruling planet Mars is forging a very subtle but potent link to Neptune this week. Neptune continues in the part of your horoscope to do with the deeper psychological strands of life, anything to do with compassion and sensitivity. And Mars is in the part of your horoscope to do with deep dive in the 8th house. That can be to do with the transformation of assets, so working on a business situation, or it could be an attraction to somebody. So whatever it is that you're working on this week, whether it is a more material situation or your personal life, what I'd be guided by particularly is your instincts. Now, you have pretty good instincts, as I'm always saying, but really trust your sixth sense around both those areas. Now, of course, the Sun combines beautifully with Mercury on the first day, and they are helping each other for much of this week. Mercury can be to do with travel, it can be to do with postage and distribution, and of course with Christmas racing up, if you do need to get some items to someone who does live at a distance, I think this combination can give you a greater sense of urgency. But it's also good for thinking about contracts or higher education or training or technology, or if there is something that you want to explore that's to do with a legal matter. All these strands can be quite lively in your situation. But getting that solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius, total solar eclipse, at the end of this week on Saturday is particularly potent. The 9th house is where you don't want to be limited. It's where you want to be a free spirit. And it's kind of pushing you over the next 6 months to try to break free of any situation which is limiting you in a way which is not good for you. Now, that could be your physical environment, if you're living somewhere that you don't enjoy very much. But equally, it could be with a relationship, it could be with a job, or it could be with an attitude that you've got with yourself. So almost like something that has become an innate part of you, but in some ways you're not enjoying. So that may be just being very aligned to routine. So the 9th house is about living in the moment a lot more, being much more spontaneous, taking the drama of your sign, which is ruled by fire, of course, and the planet Mars, to be more spontaneous. So it's pushing you to be more risk-taking over the next 6 months. Now, that's not saying that you should be foolhardy when it comes to, no one's going to jump out of a plane without a parachute. That would just be absolutely not the right thing to do. But it's just saying if you're being governed at some level by some programming that's gone into your thinking some time in your past, this would be a good time to have a revision, to upgrade things, to think again, particularly around your attitude to resources, money, luxuries. It may be that you do want to still spend out in the run up to Christmas to spoil those that you care for, but equally money doesn't completely buy us everything we need. It gives us a sense of security, and it's very unpleasant if we don't have enough. But if you do have some choices, be guided towards the things that liberate you, the individual. I think that's really what you're being asked to do. So if you are in a job that just doesn't please you, think about how you might be able to change that over the next 6 months. But the urgency of that all comes to the boil as this week draws to a close.